Hello everyone, this is Mr. Chase here with your online Chromebook orientation. You should have your Chromebook orientation form right in front of you. You can probably see it on the screen here with the blanks so I can type in it. Please just write in yours and then you'll be able to turn that in and that'll prove that you have watched this video and hopefully are a little better prepared to keep your Chromebook safe not only this year but for the entire length of stay here at Grace Lutheran School. So let's get started. All right, obviously in the name, I want you to go ahead and put your name. I'm going to put my name. That's always the first thing you should do when you get a piece of paper, especially from school. All right, so your Chromebook is like a piece of glass because it is a piece of glass wrapped in plastic. A lot of students don't seem to understand this, or at least didn't seem to understand it last year. Imagine a very thin piece of glass just with some plastic around it. It's very fragile. It will break easily. The broken screens are the number one thing that we have had a lot of this last year. So we want to try to cut down on that as best we can. So just think of your Chromebook not as a Chromebook or as a tablet or cell phone. Think of it as a piece of glass that you're going to carry around and you're going to have to treat it with some care and caution. Okay? So that means that your Chromebook is not like your cell phone or tablet if you have one. And it is in fact, it will in fact break a lot easier than your cell phone or tablet. Those things will break too, obviously. I see a lot of you walking around with broken screens on your cell phones, so it's pretty clear that the whole concept of carrying around glass, even if it's in a cell phone or tablet, is not really thought of very much, and that's how we end up with all these broken cell phones and tablets, obviously, except for accidents that you can't possibly prevent. But in general, if you just think of your Chromebook not like those two things, and imagine it like a piece of glass that's very fragile, you'll have a better chance of treating it the right way. Also, in addition, your Chromebook, you want to make sure that it is charged every night. This doesn't mean that you have to charge it every night because you may not use it very much in a given day, and you may go from like 100% to maybe, I don't know, 95, 80%, and that will probably be enough to get you through another day or two. I think that after a while, after you use your Chromebook for a few days, you'll start to get a sense for when it needs to be charged. When it gets down to 15, 20%, I don't know what the number will be for you. Probably anything below 50, 40%, you might want to think about recharging it. So you want to make sure you charge it at home as often as you need to. Every night's not a bad idea. We certainly just don't have enough plugs here at school for all 75, 80 of you middle school students to be charging your Chromebooks every day. And plus then you have to tote your charger around with you back and forth to school and home. So the better plan, just charge it at night, make sure it's charged for the next day. It might even last you the whole week, depending on how you use it. But again, you'll get a sense for that once you use your Chromebook for a while. And many of you will have already used yours, and you'll know kind of have a sense for when it needs charging and when it doesn't. Your Chromebook should always be in the case so that it has some protection in case it accidentally falls. The reason we buy these particular cases, or any case that we will buy, is so that your Chromebook has an additional layer of protection for a short fall from like a table or carrying height to the floor. It's not 100% protection, but it does give it a little bit more padding and protection, and hopefully will help it survive one of those short falls. It is not designed to protect it from a fall from above that height, or if it's got some velocity added to it, that is to say like it's being thrown or dropped with force. Okay, so it's just a normal sort of off the desk bump. It's supposed to help it. It's not 100%. Like I said, it can still break even with the case on, but it definitely is much more likely to break if the case is not on it, which it should never. The Chromebook should never be out of the case, especially at school, but also at home and kind of wherever it is. Just keep it in the case. If your case has a center strap that goes along the hinge, please keep that there. That is important to keep the Chromebook itself secured to the case. And if you slide the Chromebook out and slip it back so that it's over that strap, it'll be a lot less secure and a lot more likely to fall out of the case and break falling out of the case. So let's not have that happen. Okay. So when you are packing up to come to school or on your way to school, you want to carefully place your Chromebook in your backpack and never ever jam it in or force it. Okay. Again, it's not like a textbook. It's not like a cell phone. It's not like a tablet. You can't just be jamming it in places because it's got it has the ability to compress those two pieces. The top and bottom of the Chromebook will actually push together and can flex and bend and break the glass, or it can force the glass of the screen up against the keys, and that can either scuff it or break it that way. So again, you can't just jam it in there. If your backpack's too full of stuff to really accommodate your Chromebook, then you can either maybe carry your Chromebook separately or try to remove a few things from your backpack so there's sufficient room, and carry those other things with you, or just try to leave them at school if you can. All right. You just want to be careful not to smash it or mush it in your backpack. You'll be a lot better off and a lot less likely to break your Chromebook. All right. So next up, when you're carrying your Chromebook here at school. So a lot of times I'll see the middle school students in particular carrying a big stack of books, 2 or 3 books, because they're going one way or the other across campus, and they have 2 or 3 books in a notebook, their pencil bag, and their Chromebooks. That's a lot of stuff to carry, and I'm kind of amazed at how much you guys carry around sometimes. But the point is, if you're doing that with carrying your Chromebook and a bunch of other books, your Chromebook, you want to make sure that your Chromebook is toward the top of whatever stack you are carrying. It doesn't have to be the very top, although that's not a bad plan, but it also needs to be stable. So obviously you couldn't like put it on top of your pencil bag. That wouldn't be very stable, but it could be just under your pencil bag so that it's toward the top, and so there's no other big heavy textbooks or whatever on top of your Chromebook. So that in case you do fall or trip, or you just drop your books, it's less likely to get broken. We did have one get broken last year because somebody was carrying their Chromebook on the bottom of a big stack. They dropped their stack, and of course, predictably, the Chromebook screen was broken. Not at all surprising. All right. Also, number 7, it is never okay to put your Chromebook on the floor, especially in the case because it's black and dark and it'll be hard to see, and it could easily, and you can probably figure this out, be stepped on. Okay. I have been walking through middle school classrooms, and students have had their Chromebooks, and they've been on the middle of the floor, the aisleway, and I myself have come close to stepping on them a few times, and that's not a good plan. You'll either cause someone to fall or trip themselves because they're trying to avoid stepping on your Chromebook, or they'll step on your Chromebook and trip and fall, which will give a broken Chromebook and possibly an injured person. So none of those outcomes are desirable. Let's keep those Chromebooks in their cases and not in the middle of the aisleway. There are baskets underneath a lot of the middle school desks. You can put it there in that basket if it fits, or at the very least you can slide it under the desk, even under the basket, so that it's not out on the walkway. It's not ideal to have it on the floor at all, but at least that way it'd be less likely to be stepped on. So best plan is to keep it up on the desk. Second best would be on that little basket, and then last resort, if it doesn't fit or you just can't do it, is to put it underneath the desk itself, on the floor, but underneath the desk, so it's out of the way. Okay, but if as much as you can avoid putting it on the floor, that's a lot safer for obvious reasons. Because if it's not on the floor, it makes it a lot harder to be stepped on. All right, so you'll see me looking to the right a little bit because I have the answers on another screen. I want to make sure I keep those in sync, and then I'm giving you the correct answers. I'm actually having to redo this video again because I was watching the one that I had done, and I misstated one of the answers. It looks sort of funny, so here we are doing it again. Anyways, number 9. Okay, when your Chromebook is not being used, you should close it, and you probably figured this out, put it away. That is the safest thing for it. And I'm talking about when your Chromebook's at home now, of course, as you can see here. So you want to just close it, put it away. We have had Chromebooks get broken at home. So we want to try to minimize the risk to them even when they're at home. Okay, number 10 here. It is not a good idea to have your Chromebook out when you or others are wrestling or horsing around or roughhousing. Okay, for obvious reasons, if your Chromebook's out, and again, think of it like a piece of glass, you wouldn't have a piece of glass laying around your room or wherever you are if you're kind of wrestling and playing around. You may not even be supposed to doing those things wherever you are, in your room or in the house, but I know sometimes it does happen. And if your Chromebook's out, I can promise you that if it's anywhere near and on the floor, you're going to end up breaking it or rolling on it. It happened last year to a couple of siblings, and it's completely preventable. So, you're having fun. Just remember, your Chromebook is not having fun if it's getting broken. So let's try to keep those Chromebooks out of the way please. Okay. It is also probably a good idea to put your Chromebook away when having our friendly battle. You ready for this? With Nerf darts. And I'm going to add in here anything else that shoots stuff. Okay. Believe it or not, we had a Chromebook screen last year that was broken by a Nerf dart. Must have been some Nerf dart. And that was a little surprising because those aren't supposed to be very harmful. But in this case, it was. And I still don't understand why. It must have been fired at close range or just a really powerful Nerf dart. But whatever the reason, obviously, if you're shooting anything, even those little round discs that come out of those little cheap guns, obviously a water fight would be a super bad idea. So basically, if you're playing with anything that shoots anything, your Chromebook should not be out anywhere near that. It should be kind of closed up and put away someplace safe, like a closet or on a desk or something like that. You want to avoid, again, these preventable accidents. It just takes a little bit of thought and a little bit of caution to avoid a very costly and problematic break that, again, you can totally prevent. Okay, so when you sometimes you'll end up with your Chromebook away from home, not on the way to or at school, but sometimes you'll be away from school, like go to a doctor's appointment, orthodontist, or whatever. So if you're out and about with your Chromebook, a few tips about that we learned last year and that I've learned too. So if you go someplace like a doctor's office or whatever, you should never put your Chromebook, ready, on a chair. We had a student last year who we, at least as best we can figure, this happened. They put it in a chair. It's really hard to see again because it's in that black case, and it's very easy for someone to guess what happened, to sit on it. Okay, they went in for their orthodontist appointment, came out, the Chromebook was broken. Our best guess, we don't know for sure, but our best guess is that someone accidentally sat on it, and then it was broken. So if you're out and about with it, just don't put it on chairs. Again, obviously you shouldn't put it on the floor. Have it with you, have it with a parent. Put it someplace safe, but don't put it in a chair or on the floor, please. We do want to keep these for as long as we can and try not to break them. Okay, next up, and this is one that I learned the hard way several years ago. You should avoid leaving your Chromebook visible in the car because, guess what happened? Because it could, could easily be stolen. I was in a really nice section of Los Angeles, West Los Angeles, I guess, at a church in a really nice neighborhood. Wasn't really thinking that anything was sketchy or dangerous, and I had a brand new laptop from the place where I was working. It was a super nice laptop, brand new. I had it for like 2 weeks barely, and I came back out to my car, and not only was my laptop gone, my very expensive brand new laptop, but everything else from inside the car was gone, and the window was broken, and of course, because it's me, it was raining, so it was just a really bad night for me. So avoid all of that and losing your Chromebook altogether, which we'll go into here in a minute, but you don't want it to be stolen. That's especially bad because then there's really not much we can do to help you. And as you will find out here in number 14, your Chromebook insurance does not cover theft or loss. Okay, so if you lose it, you just take it to the store or something and forget it and it just disappears, or it does get stolen from someplace, it's not insured for that. So you'll end up having to buy a new one, buy a used one, or borrow one or something like that. So unfortunately, insurance does not cover for that. So do everything you can to prevent that from happening. So far, we've been pretty lucky. No one's actually had theirs stolen or lost, and hopefully we'll continue that. But at some point, it probably is likely to happen because people like to steal electronics. They are worth something, and they're easy to move around. And so, yeah, just let's not tempt people by making it attractive for them to steal it. Okay. Next one, number 15. So your Chromebook insurance does cover accidental damage. All right. And it also covers an extended warranty issue on the Dells and on the Asus computers from the from last year. But it doesn't mean that you can be careless. Okay, a couple finer points about this one. The Asus computers, the Chromebooks, they had 3 years of coverage last year, so the most that we'll have now is 2 years left. But there's also a dollar amount. There's a cap in the value. So really what we've learned is if with the older Chromebooks, the Asus Chromebooks, you get about one kind of major repair like a screen or a keyboard or something, and then that's pretty much it. There'll be a little bit left over in terms of insurance value, but if anything else significant happens, you're going to end up having to pay the difference between whatever's left on the insurance and what the actual repair costs. So that's one of the reasons we upgraded this year to the Dells, because they also have better insurance, and the Dells will all have 4 years insurance right now, and strictly accidental damage and extended warranty. But again, even Dell's probably going to start questioning if you continue to have a bunch of damage to your Chromebook, and at some point they can start to decide that you're being too careless and it's actually more or less intentional or preventable, and it's your fault. So you want to be careful about that. Don't give them a reason to question. Try to avoid using it if you can. Obviously, if you do need to use it, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay? So this is a new thing this year. We kind of have gone back and forth on this based on our experience last year. But beginning this year, you will only be allowed to use your school Google account on your Chromebook. All right? We have gone back and forth, like I said, on this. Our experience last year, though, has led us to the point now where we want to be a little bit more cautious with what accounts we're allowing on your Chromebook. Obviously, it is your Chromebook. It's a school-issued Chromebook. So that if there is a really, really good reason and your parents want to request an exemption for you, then you might be allowed to use a personal account, as long as, and there's a couple of conditions here, you don't use it at school during school hours, obviously, when you're here. If it does become a problem, if you having a secondary account on the Chromebook does become a problem, then you may lose the exemption, okay? You may lose permission to do so. I'm going to have a form, an online form for your parents to fill out and submit if they'd like to request an exemption for you, but otherwise we're going to limit those Chromebooks to just school accounts. Obviously, when you graduate, you can use whatever accounts you want. We can release that if your parents say that's okay, and then you can use whatever Google accounts you want. But right now, while you're at school and during school hours, we're going to restrict that to just a school account. Mr. Chase, that's me. I can see a lot of what you do. Okay? I can see your search history. I can see everywhere you've been, every video you've looked at. So it's, even though you might be able to erase the history, although I don't know if you can for sure or not, it doesn't get erased from what I can see. And so you just want to be careful where you go and what you do. I don't sit around looking at those because I'm a busy guy, but it is possible if someone has a question or we just want to sort of spot check kind of what you're doing out there. If your parents have a question or any of your teachers, we can definitely go back in and pull up a history for basically since the beginning of when you owned your Chromebook. So again, we don't do that regularly, but it can happen periodically and subject to requests of anybody, any adult who needs to just sort out how you're doing there. Also, and I just want to be upfront about this, I will be alerted when you search for, search for words that aren't spelled right. Search, there we go, for, for inappropriate or sensitive terms. So let me explain that just a little bit. Obviously, inappropriate stuff, I don't think I have to explain that. You can all sort that out. Basically, anything naughty or bad, you start looking for those things. It's going to alert me. So that's an instance where I don't have to look for it. It's going to alert me that you've done that. Also, sensitive terms, things like mental health issues, depression, suicide, self-harm, bullying, those kind of terms are going to light up and I'll get an alert. And that's obviously not to get you in trouble. That would be more to sort out what's going on with you that you're needing to look for those terms. That being said, you just want to be careful what you're looking for, what you're searching for. And again, this is a really good reason to close and lock your Chromebook so your siblings, don't get in there and get you in trouble on purpose. I could see that happening where someone's like, oh, Mr. Chase is going to find out you're looking for something and it's not you. It's like your friend or one of your brothers or sisters. So it's a good reason to lock your Chromebook and keep your password secure, which we'll talk about in a minute. Also, if you're going to search for something that might be a little, that you might think is going to light up and alert me, sometimes people need to, for example, if they're in health, they might want to be looking up suicide prevention, looking up depression, things like that. Then that's fine. I mean, you need to do it for school, but just let me know, because then I won't be surprised when it pops up and I'll just searching for health class or medieval history or whatever it is. So you'll want to let me know if you are searching for something, okay, something unusual or something that you think might alert me. All right. The internet's not a safe place. The world's not a safe place. And the internet's no different. So we've done everything we can, especially here at school when we have our firewall and filtering software. We've put software on your computer. We've set limitations on the school account to try to keep you from running into stuff that would make you or might make you feel uncomfortable or awkward or just embarrassed or whatever. But it is definitely possible that you could run into something or something could happen and you don't like it. You don't feel comfortable or makes you're not sure how to handle it. Okay. If that happens, okay, you should tell your teacher, me, and or obviously your parents. Okay. We had some students last year. They were searching for something perfectly normal in images, and images in particular are high risk for running into something that's inappropriate. In any case, they ran into something that shouldn't have shown up in the search results, because we have safe search results turned on for you, and it came up anyways. So rather than get upset about it or not tell anyone or like have the entire middle school know, they came to me. I was able to work with Google, and we got it removed from the safe search results. It was inappropriate. It shouldn't have popped up, but it did. And sometimes those things are going to happen, even if for the most innocent thing you're looking for. Where it becomes a problem is if you don't tell someone and you keep doing it, and or you tell other students about it, and pretty soon the whole middle school knows. Eventually we'll sort out what happened, and it'll get back to whoever started it, and then you'll be in trouble for having not told and for contributing to other people doing things they shouldn't. So having a good open communication with us, with your parents, is very important in this. Your Chromebook, again, the internet is not 100% safe. The world is not 100% safe, so you have to be careful, and you got to reach out for help when you need it. Don't be embarrassed about it. Just come get us. Okay? Your Chromebook is, and I sort of have already given you hints about this, is not 100% safe from anything bad happening. So I've kind of already said that, but there it is for you, number 21. Your Chromebook is definitely not 100% safe. No matter what we do, the only way to make it 100% safe is to keep it off the internet, in which case it's completely not very useful. So we've done everything we can. We're going to continue to do so. If we need to improve things, we will work on that. But it's not 100% safe. We can't be. Okay, so you have to be careful. And again, communicate. If something bad happens or something you don't like, or somebody does something or says something that you particularly don't like, just let us know. We'll sort it out for you or help you sort it out. Okay? And we've talked about this a little bit. It is never a good idea to share your password with a friend, a good friend, a bad friend, your brothers or sisters. Obviously, you can share it with your parents if you want. That's up to you and them. But it's not a good idea to share it with anyone else for some of the reasons I've already stated. And because once you give it to someone, who knows who they're going to give it to, and then what can happen is you have your schoolwork in there. People do have the ability to email out. So all kinds of inappropriate or sort of unfortunate things could happen if you share your password. If you need to change it, I believe you're able to do so. If you forget it, just let me know and I'll reset it for you. But don't share it with anybody, any peers or anybody in your house except for your parents, and that's between you and them. And if need be, of course, I can always reset it and get access to your stuff, and I can give it to your parents if they need it if you're not being cooperative. So I don't think that would be true of any of you, but just know that that's possible too. So don't do that. For now, we're going to work on this year. Your Google email, you do have a little Google email account with your Google School account, But unfortunately, right now, your email only works one way, and that's outbound. So you can send people mail, they just can't respond to you. So your teachers will get sort of frustrated if you try to email them with a question. They can't email you back, really. So they could email your parents maybe, but it might be better if you just talk to them directly, or if you do email them, your teacher, make sure you let them know a good email to respond to you, either an outside school account or your parents' email account, so they can get back to you. Okay. 24. If you have any questions about your Chromebook, okay, you should, there it is. Okay, ask, obviously. You can ask other students. You can ask teachers, or obviously me. Okay, so we're all working together on this. I'm learning, the teachers are learning. You guys are obviously still learning about Chromebooks and what they can do and how everything works. So just ask each other for help. Ask your teachers and ask me. We're happy to help you. We want to make this as usable as possible so you can be as successful as possible and learn as many skills as you can. All right, 25. If something does happen to your Chromebook, it's broken, something falls off, or it stops working for some reason, then you should report it right away. Okay, so let me know. If it's the Asus Chromebooks, you're going to need to work with me. And if it's the Dell Chromebooks, actually, you are going to be able to contact Dell directly, and I'll make sure you guys have that number. Your parents, rather, so not you, students, but the families, the adults can contact Dell. You do have good insurance on it, so they should be sending you either a replacement or a box to get it fixed or whatever pretty quickly, because that's part of what you paid for. The other thing is you can always borrow a loaner. Chromebook, it may not be the same as the one that belongs to you. We have a lot of the Asus Chromebooks as loaners and not really any Dells at this point. So just know that you might be using one that's slightly different than the one you own, at least until it gets fixed or replaced for you. All right, so let's get back down here. Okay, when can you use your Chromebook? This is something that comes up, or that came up last year. It's not coming up as much this year because we already have sort of gotten this sorted out. But you can only use your Chromebook only when permitted. Okay? A Chromebook is a tool, and like any tool, there's an appropriate time to use it and times when you shouldn't be using it. For example, if you need a screwdriver, you wouldn't grab the hammer just because you like the hammer. You need a screwdriver, or vice versa. If you need the hammer, you wouldn't grab the screwdriver. So same thing for learning. When you need the Chromebook, your teachers will instruct you to, or advise you that you'll want to maybe use your Chromebook and give you an opportunity to do so. But if you're in, say, art, for example, or you need to just listen to something in class, your Chromebook may not be appropriate. So you got to sort of look to your teacher for clues about that. And after a while, I think all the students and teachers will sort of get into a rhythm, and they'll understand when they should and should not be using their Chromebooks. Just know that just because you have them and just because we want you to use them doesn't mean it's okay anytime, anywhere, any place. That's not what we're saying. Okay. Also, if you'd like to listen to music on using your Chromebook, either YouTube or whatever source you're using, you definitely need to ask your teacher. Okay. Some teachers will never let you use it. That's their choice. Okay. Some teachers may on occasion allow you to listen to music on your Chromebook, and it is up to them. So number 28, they may or may not give permission to listen to music. It's okay either way. All right, their choice, and it's best based on the situation and what's best for the situation. Okay, let me just get this situated here real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, if the teacher says it's okay to listen to music using your Chromebook, obviously the music needs to be appropriate for school. Come on, guys. You all know what that means, okay? If you wouldn't have your grandma listening to it and your parents, then you shouldn't be listening to it at school, even with permission. Okay, the volume needs to be reasonable and safe. Unfortunately, for younger people who have grown up listening to everything, music and TV and whatever, using headphones all the time or frequently, they're running into hearing problems pretty early in life. In their 20s and 30s, they're having the hearing of like 80 and 90-year-olds because they've listened to that stuff too loud. It will impact you. You may not think so now, but it definitely will. My friend who is a speech pathologist is telling me all the time about how young people are coming in for speech treatment because they have lost some or all of their hearing. So you need to be careful about that, and obviously you must use headphones. Okay, and another thing about headphones and reasonable volume and all of that, even if you're using headphones and people around you can hear the music coming out of your headphones, A, that's too loud, and B, you need to lower the volumes to the point, either get different headphones or lower the volume to the point where people around you are not disturbed by your music, or you just won't be allowed to do it. Okay, number 30. Okay, it is not okay to use your Chromebook before school, during recesses, after school, or at rec club, at least at rec club without asking. Last year, when we first rolled these out, students were super excited. The teachers were all excited. And the next thing we know, we see students before school, at recess, at lunchtime, basically anytime they had 2 minutes of free time, they were on their Chromebook playing games or doing whatever. That's not what they're for. Okay? And we don't want to see that. You're not allowed to do that here at school. They're a learning tool, not a play tool or some sort of souped up iPad. You want to just use it when it's okay, when the teacher directs you, not at all those other free times. Turns out it's good to actually socialize with other real people and not necessarily always interact with them through some sort of electronic media. It's good to learn how to talk to people. That's going to help you in life a lot more than messing around on any electronic device. Okay, so last thing here as we start to wrap up, using your Chromebook is expected here at school, but it's also a privilege. Okay, so that means that a privilege can be taken away, and it's not a right. Okay, so we want you to use it. We've set up for it. We've made it possible. We encourage you to use it, and the teachers will mostly expect you to use it at certain times and for certain things. But if you misuse it, or if you don't demonstrate that you can use it appropriately or wisely, or it becomes a problem or a distraction, any of those reasons, you may temporarily or potentially permanently lose the privilege of using your Chromebook here at school. So far that's not happened. We don't want it to happen, but it could. So please make good choices, be safe, and enjoy your Chromebooks. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And if not, thanks very much for watching this video, and we'll see you at school.